What are your expectations for Dak Prescott this season?
Well, Joy, I think my expectations for Dak is to make it through the season, to not only make it through the season, but to take steps forward in a positive manner. He's a veteran now. He knows what it is to be a professional football player. He understands what it is to prepare as one as well. Now, with a major injury taking place, there will be questions of how high a level can he play at, but I don't think that that's something that we should condemn him at this point. I think that you look at what Dak is bringing to the table. I think that they've been very responsible in terms of how they've approached him coming back and his rehab process. So I look at him as being able to come back and play at a level that's been higher than the level that he's played at before. And not so much where you look at it in the stats, like he threw for a lot. He was up there with he was the highest average in yards per game before he got injured. But I look at it more so from a substance standpoint of the leadership, the ability to win games. And that's where I think that he'll take a major step forward, where I think he makes a difference that way.
LaVar, way to set those expectations right through the roof. I think he's going to make it through the season.
Yes.
Wow.
Okay. You're being sarcastic. All right. I like it.
I was expecting a little bit more. I just expected you to go a little more with more guns.
Okay.
I am going to say it's going to be a star-crossed season because it has been a star-crossed season so far. It's been a star-crossed training camp. He comes in, the ankle looks good, everybody's excited, and then he strains a shoulder in his a muscle in his shoulder, and now suddenly he can't throw. Every step of the way, it seems one step forward, two steps back. And I would expect that that's going to happen both for Dak Prescott and the Cowboys in general. Are we going to see flashes of the old Dak Prescott that earned him that big contract? I would expect so, yes. But is it going to be enough to put the Cowboys over the top? There were huge expectations put on him with that contract and what he was going to be able to do for the Cowboys this season, and they are off completely on the wrong foot. He comes out jacked up, excited, wants to show that things are different, and strains his shoulder. And then he gets healthy enough to throw again, and we're pre-Texans game, and he throws, and Mike McCarthy hears about how much he threw, and he's like, oh, that's too much. I mean, he can't help himself at this point. He wants so badly to make up for lost time that he's not going about it the right way, and I dare say the Cowboys aren't either. What's the good of having all this medical information and the sports medicine and the biometrics when you can't keep the guy in the parameters that he's supposed to be in coming back? So I'm being kind in saying star-crossed. It could potentially be a disaster, but I'll go with star-crossed for now, considering we got the big star in the big D.
Come on, Joy.
I mean, it's not. I don't think it's hating. I kind of agree with Rick a little bit. I mean, look, he's going to play. We know that, but he's not going to be 100%. And LaVar, you don't want to come into the season. What's the saying? Come into the season injured, leave the season injured. Injuries are an inevitability in this sport, but you don't want to come into the regular season injured. And let's be honest.
Tell him, Joy.
He's injured. This is not whatever the Cowboys are trying to say. Don't worry. It's not a setback. Nothing's happening over here. It is happening. Otherwise, he would be playing in the regular season, because he made it very clear, Dak did, that he wanted to play a little bit in the regular season so that he could get confident in his other injury, which is the ankle. Look, I love Dak Prescott. I think it's awesome that he got paid. I think he's the face of America's team, the Dallas Cowboys, and I think that the team goes as Dak Prescott goes. That's why I'm concerned, because he is going into the season, a season, by the way, which is longer now than it has ever been before, injured. And they don't have a solid backup quarterback situation. And now I think because the Cowboys have leaned so far into there's nothing going on here, There's nothing to worry about. They're not going to make an aggressive move to get a solid backup situation for Dak Prescott, which I absolutely think that they can do. There are a lot of veterans floating out there trying to make third string, fighting for seconds for backup spots who would really serve the Cowboys in this situation, alleviate a little bit of the stress of the rest of the roster. Because if Dak's not out there, let's be honest, this team is not winning. They're not making it to the playoffs without Dak Prescott. This is a concerning situation. I do think he's going to play, but him not being 100% going into this season, a season which is longer now, a roster which is based off of Dak Prescott, is very concerning.
All right, here's my big guns for you, Rick. And I'm so shocked and saddened by Joy's approach to this conversation. I thought we would stay on the same page, but she has to get hit with the bullets on this one as well. So here we go. We have been so focused in on the injuries, plural, of one Dak Prescott. And we make it as though we can't look at a quarterback or a player as being able to have a productive year. Now, anyone will tell you, and Joy, you kind of touched on this, anyone will tell you no one's going to really start a season at 100%. No one will be in the season at 100%. No one will finish the season at 100% health. So when you look at it, what defines the greatness of a player during the course of a season? It's the ability to handle adverse situations. It's the ability to be able to evolve and be able to get through moments where maybe the average person wouldn't be able to do it. A messed up knee, a messed up hand, a jacked up elbow, a messed up shoulder. These are all things that, well, most players, in fact, all of them, have to play through. They have to get through. We've made it so convenient to put our scope and our focus on certain people and certain players. He's not going through anything really anybody else isn't going through. I'll prove it to you. Let's go to this full screen. I got a full screen because here comes my big guns, right? Let's call back to business, all right? Now,
you needed something.
Oh, well, I'm giving you something. Tom Brady, he jacked up his ACL. Coming off of that season, what did he do when he came back? He got a Pro Bowl, division title. Matthew Stafford, who suffered a shoulder injury. What did he do that next season coming off of that horrible shoulder setback? 5,000 plus yards, a playoff berth. Let's go down to the bottom because there's I could go through all of these, but let's just skip down to the bottom because I think the bottom is most relevant to this conversation. Ian Rappaport reported that Tom Brady played the entire season last year with a torn MCL. He got the procedure done this offseason. He's healing. He's coming into this 2021 season. We don't hear anybody talking about how will Tom Brady play. We're talking about, is Tom Brady going to repeat as a Super Bowl quarterback? It's interesting because to me, the weight of a guy, the salt in which we measure these guys is based off of how they're able to perform no matter what the circumstances are. That's what athletics is about. That's what competition is about. So to focus on the fact that he has an injury, that's fine. Focus on that. Y'all can come up with some type of a rebuttal for this, but the reality here is that guys play hurt all the time. And the ones that we reverence and love and appreciate and admire are the ones that can still play at a high level, even though the chips may be, the deck may be stacked up against them to be able to have success based off of something they're dealing with, a family catastrophe, a health issue, any type of something that builds that admiration. That's what we look for. That's why sports are so amazing, is that it teaches you to be able to deal with situations such as this. Don't write them off. Don't cross off the star, X the star, give the block the square, give it an X, give it a 0, whatever. We're going for tic-tac-toe with Dak Prescott this year.
LaVar, the full screen that you've got is missing a category.
Okay,
it's
what's
missing the category of the injury that all those guys suffered subsequent to that big injury in the following training camp that they had to recover from. Where is that list?
But there wasn't a catastrophic. There wasn't a big injury that took place in training camp. They still had to return from a season-ending or some type of a season-altering injury that lingered and went into the offseason. So Dak Prescott doesn't
Correct.
have a season-ending injury. He had a season-ending injury.
That is correct.
Okay.
And all of these
right.
guys had injuries that they had to recover from that were major injuries. But to my knowledge, Tom Brady is practicing right now in training camp. He's
And
not
so is
being
Dak
held
Prescott.
back by that MC.
So is
is
Dak
that
Prescott.
true?
He's practicing. He
No,
threw
he's
like-
not. He's
he
not
threw-
throwing. He hasn't been throwing
threw-
for the first
He threw 50
couple of
balls.
weeks of training camp.
He threw 50 balls in.
What?
He threw 50 balls or so in warm-ups of their last preseason
Yes.
game.
That is correct. He finally started throwing again,
That
but
we
he
know
was
of.
limited. Oh, and by the way, he had an injury that was separate from the major catastrophic injury that he had. I'm all for guys overcoming stuff. And yes, you are right. It is the mark of great athletes and of competition. But he's already climbing a hill and having to come back from this ankle injury. And to Adam Schefter's point, like a shoulder or no shoulder issue, he wasn't ever going to be 100% this year. And the Dallas Cowboys have completely lost me on this with this smoke and mirrors. I can't believe anything that they say. And honestly, I can't believe anything that Dak Prescott says, because even after the shoulder strain, he wanted to be back out there. He was grousing about the fact that they were holding him out. And clearly, if they've held him out as long as they have, there is something that they are legitimately concerned about. And it's not just Dak Prescott that's facing this. If he was the only one that was facing this uphill battle, I'd say, okay. But Ezekiel Elliott hasn't practiced. They're still screwing around with their offensive line. They're not happy with the way that's set up. They're still trying to figure out who their center is going to be. Amari Cooper hasn't been 100%. So they've got, it's not just a Dak Prescott issue. It's a number of issues around him. And I'm all for adversity and overcoming it. But look, the Cowboys have had enough adversity. They could use a little bit of a silver lining, and they're not seeing it right now.
Yeah, I agree that adversity and overcoming adversity is very important. But I have no doubt about Dak Prescott's ability to overcome adversity. His entire life, his entire career has been overcoming adversity. That is not my question here. His character is not in question here. It is his body. And to your point, LaVar, about all of those guys that came off of major injuries, I never questioned if Dak Prescott was going to be able to recover from his ankle injury. It's 2021. We have massive advances in modern medicine, despite the fact that nobody wants to believe it. He was going to come off of that ankle injury, but now he has 2 injuries. There's a reason he's not out there. It's not because Dak doesn't want to be out there. Of course he wants to be out there. It's not because Jerry Jones doesn't believe that he could be out there. Of course Jerry believes he could be out there. It's because the medical staff is not allowing him to be out there. They are important. The medical staff is important. They know what's going on. I don't doubt Dak Prescott's grit and ability to overcome adversity. I don't doubt Jerry Jones' faith in Dak Prescott. He paid him. He thinks he's the face of the organization, as does everybody else. But the other thing that you left out in that list of quarterbacks that you mentioned.
Here we go.
Is the rest of the team. Tom Brady just won a Super Bowl. And they brought back all the starters. So, yeah, if they were capable of surrounding Tom Brady with Super Bowl-level players because they just won a Super Bowl. Patrick Mahomes,
What
are we
about
worried
Bradford?
about Patrick Mahomes' roster?
We ain't even talking about Pat Mahomes' foot, right? But he had to get surgically repaired. He had to get surgically repaired.
Does he have a second injury?
But is he compromised
roster,
right
he has
now?
A Super
I
Bowl,
could
he has
see
a
if the
Super Bowl
second
winning
injury
coach.
was
He
somewhat.
has a Super Bowl roster. So does Tom Brady. So does Tom Brady's
So
roster.
does Dak Prescott.
When was they in the Super Bowl?
Oh, so they had to want
What?
it to be a Super Bowl roster? So a Super Bowl winning roster is what you're saying?
Yes,
Okay,
that's
I'll
what
take
I'm
that
saying.
I would just take a few
I think-
players who have
I
actually
think
won a
the
Super Bowl and played in
Cowboys-
it.
I think the
roster.
Cowboys have a lot of talent. I think they're capable of getting there if things go right. I think that they are contenders this year, but they haven't done it. So that's just what I think. Do what you want with it. You can't say that about Patrick Mahomes and the Kansas City Chiefs. You can't say that about Tom Brady and the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Been there, done that. So it's a different situation on top of the fact that Dak Prescott now has 2 things he is coming back from, to Ric's point. So I don't doubt Dak's ability to overcome adversity. I'm saying you come into the season with an actual injury, despite what the Cowboys are saying. Otherwise, he would have been out there. It is a cause for concern, and they need to shore up their backup quarterback situation.
So Rick and Joy are saying that when your team's some trash, injuries are worse.
I did not say trash.
All right, coming
I
up
did not say
next.
that.